Remind me to never piss off anybody with a really fancy car. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today our movie in the middle is No Time to Die. No Time to Die is Daniel Craig's final appearance as James Bond as he uncovers unsettling mysteries and secrets about his girlfriend, Madeline. Skyfall is one of my favorite movies of all time, and even with that, for some reason going into this movie, I just didn't have a whole lot of expectation. It was one of my most anticipated movies of the year, but for some reason I just didn't feel that really connected to it or excited about it. I was excited to see it. I wasn't sure about it. I felt like it was kind of another just addition to the James Bond series, and I need to go into movies with low expectations more often. Starting off the highs, Daniel Craig. He is definitely one of the best James Bonds. I mean, there's been 6 of them now, and he is definitely top tier. He's probably, for most people, tied with Sean Connery. It's either one or the other that you like the most. And in this one, I honestly think I liked his Bond the most. Now, I need to give context. I have not seen Casino Royale or Quantum of Solace.
What?
But I have seen Skyfall and Spectre. Out of the 3 of them, I think I liked him the most in this one because he's just funny. He was funny. He felt more like a person in this one to me. I don't know. Because in the other ones, the thing about this Bond is that he is very military. He is very gritty and dark and real. That's the kind of angle that they went with this James Bond, which is great. But in this one, it's almost like he's past that and he's brought in for one last mission just by accident. So he's almost like just retired, but he's doing this anyway for a lot of the different reasons, mostly for love. And so it just felt like he cared more about things. It felt like he was funnier. He was just, I don't know, he just felt even a little older, but like in a good way, you know, like he was just that kind of like older teacher who's finally just softened a little bit and he's like, whatever, you know, for the class. I don't know. He was really, really great in this. And he put on a hell of a last performance as James Bond. And all of the supporting cast was also amazing. I mean, Léa Seydoux was incredible as Madeline because just their chemistry, which I'll get to in a minute, was amazing. Jeffrey Wright, who I didn't realize was actually in the first 2 that I hadn't seen, he was awesome as well. Ralph Fiennes, Naomie Harris, Ben Whishaw, they all are just such great supporting characters that are a part of MI6. And I don't know, they don't even feel anymore like they're just other people in this office. It feels like a weird family team, and I loved all of them. They're so great. Also, Ana de Armas. She is only in this movie a little bit, but I want her to be in more because her character was hilarious. She plays basically somebody who's like just been trained, but she's also really badass and awesome. She was great. She definitely needs to be in more of these. And Christoph Waltz comes back, and you know, as controversial as his villain was for Spectre, he's amazing. Christoph Waltz is awesome. Even for the little bit that he's in this movie, it's just great. We also get a new 007 played by Lashana Lynch. This was very controversial for a lot of people because at first people thought that, oh, she's the new Bond. Then people thought, oh, she's the new 007 in general. I think it got blown out of proportion because it's mostly for the plot that she's the new 007. It's very much for the plot and for James Bond's character. But she was awesome. She was really great. Their dynamic being really sassy towards each other because she took the 007 numbers, it was great. Their back and forth was really funny, and they ended up, you know, obviously working as a team, and they were great. I really enjoyed those scenes. But like I mentioned before, it's a really funny movie. Like, I was really surprised. It had so many good lines, and it just helps with the pacing because honestly, this movie does not feel its 2-hour and 43-minute runtime. It really doesn't. Like, once you get to the end, sure, you're like, wow, okay, that felt like it was a long time ago. But as you're watching it, the plot is so intricate and complex, but understandable. It's so funny. The characters are so great. It's so emotional, which I'll get to in a second. You just don't feel the pacing. But by the time you get to the end, it just makes it feel even bigger that this is such a long movie because there's so much to it. And it makes it feel like this is his last appearance as James Bond. You know, Daniel Craig is his 5th one, and it just makes it feel final for this arc of the Daniel Craig series. And like I said, the plot is really intricate. I, like my brother, he said this to me. He says he spends about 2/3 of a James Bond movie trying to figure out what's going on. And while they're sometimes mysteries, not all the time, it's usually just the plot itself is really complex, and it's a whole lot of who is this, who is that. There's a lot of names flying around. This one's the same, but I don't know, if you really pay attention, there are some things it's like that could be a little confusing, that's a little confusing, but what helps is that the characters are also a little confused, so they have to have a lot of dialogue to be like, all right, what is going on? So you get it by the end. Like there's a couple different sides to this, but it's very worth it because it keeps you into the plot, and the plot itself is pretty scary because these are things that like could happen. Like what the villain wants and what he has as a weapon, it feels kind of probable. And if that is the case, that's terrifying. But honestly, I think the thing that stuck with me the most about this movie, I saw it days ago and it still sticks with me. It is so emotional. I was floored at how sad I got by this movie and just how emotional I got by this movie, just for so many things, especially the relationship between Bond and Madeline. There's just so many things that get uncovered that like get between them. And while she's only in Spectre and then this one, I don't know how they did it, but they made me feel really attached to this couple. And there's just so many moments when Bond does something or doesn't do something where it just has so much more meaning, especially when he doesn't do something. I want to say it rivals the emotion of Skyfall. I mean, I saw Skyfall, a long time ago when it came out, and I just saw this one a couple days ago and in IMAX. So I don't know, maybe it's recency bias or something, but like this one just really got to me, And I think part of it, a big part of it, is something else that I want to talk about is the intro. When I first heard No Time to Die by Billie Eilish a year and a half ago, I thought, okay, this is okay. It's fine. And then I kept listening to it, and I was like, wow, I actually really like this. And now it's become one of my favorite Billie Eilish songs, I think in my top 3 or 4. I was so excited to actually see it in the movie, mostly because I'm a Billie Eilish fan, and the rest of my family isn't, and I just wanted to be like, ha. After actually seeing what this song refers to, and having it in the movie in specific spots, and even not in just the intro, but in these little moments between them when you just hear the theme a little bit, it enhanced it so much. It actually changed the meaning of the song for me. I think it was a really great one because it felt more emotional. It felt a little bit quieter and heavier. And the actual intro sequence itself is awesome. Like, they always are. I'm always looking forward to what new things they're going to do in terms of cool patterns and stuff. And there were some really cool ones. In this one, it definitely, again, made it just feel very heavy, and like this finale for Daniel Craig's James Bond, I was super excited. I finally got to hear it in the movie itself. They did shorten it by like 20 seconds, which was weird because it's like you either shorten it a lot or not at all. I don't know, it was kind of weird, but it was awesome. For everybody who was saying that they didn't like Billie Eilish as the choice for it, I don't know what they're listening to, because she has like the absolute perfect voice for a James Bond movie. Like, her music is actually perfect for James Bond. So I don't know what the issue was. I don't think it was about that she was picked for James Bond. I think people just don't like her. Let me know in the comments below who you think should be the next artist to do a song for the next James Bond movie. I'm curious. So after all of that, I do have one low, and it is a surprising one, and that is the villain. Bond villains are like, you have Bond, then the Bond girl, then the Bond villain. And the Bond villain is like one of the most iconic things because it's always different, it's always interesting. And I was super excited for Rami Malek because I was like, he's going to be great. He looks like he's going to be terrifying. He's got the cool mask and everything. But I'm going to be honest with you, he's in this movie for maybe like 15 minutes of screen time. He's not in it that much. And when he is in it, at first he's terrifying. And I was like, wow, yeah, this is what I was promised in the trailer. And then he's not. He's just kind of regular. His motives are very tired, and honestly things that have already been done, like in Avengers with Loki. Every bit of dialogue he has is like cliched bad villain dialogue. I don't know, he felt very generic, and he felt like one of those generic Bond villains we've had in the last couple of years who are very slimy and weird and a little bit off, which was cool, but he just didn't have anything new to him. The only new thing he had about him was this cool Phantom of the Opera mask, and he wears it like once. And I was like, damn, that's cool. But again, the ideas that he has and the plan that he has is very interesting. I've never really seen anything like it. And the location that it takes place at is really cool. But he just felt very generic. He made a lot of decisions that I didn't quite understand. Like, he was very back and forth about it. I don't think he was fleshed out that well. You know, I think they focused more on the story and the relationships rather than the villain. And, you know, that's okay, because it shows that a movie can be bigger than its villain. Like, I think Chris Stuckman said that same thing about Incredibles 2. Another villain, the Screenslaver, that I was super excited about, and then it was kind of okay or disappointing. Not to say that Rami Malek didn't play him well, because Rami Malek plays everything well, but what he was given just wasn't great. So overall, I was vastly surprised by this movie. It was so good. I don't know where these mixed reviews are coming from that say that people didn't like it. Maybe it's because of the villain. Maybe they just didn't like where the plot went. I don't know. But it was really good. It was way more emotional than I ever thought it was going to be. It was funny. It was really well paced for being 2 hours and 43 minutes. It felt epic. It was great. I loved pretty much everything about it, obviously, except for the villain. And not having seen the first two, which I know is a crime, but only having seen Skyfall and Spectre and then this one, it still works on its own as its own movie, or at least in these last few, you know, as like maybe even a trilogy. It works even if you haven't seen all of them, because like Felix Leiter, played by Jeffrey Wright, I didn't realize he was in the first two, but even then, I still was able to enjoy his character as if he was just there for this one. I'm going to give No Time to Die a 3.5 out of 4. Let me know in the comments what you think of No Time to Die. Is this your favorite of the Daniel Craig Bonds? Do you like another one better? Where does it rank? You know, and where does it rank in all of the Bond movies, if you're a diehard fan and you've seen them all? And let me know again about that next artist that you want to see, maybe a next Bond villain that you want to see, who could play them. I'm really curious, and especially, who do you think could play Bond next? And as always, keep your hopes high, your stress low, and movies right in the middle. I'll see you guys later. A novice, like she's had 3 weeks training. This one really got me.